Welcome to Ethics, the foundation of relationship selling, created for the Selling Principles online class at Gateway Technical College. When we look at ethics, we have to determine, first, is ethics important in the sales process? And when we think about the importance that ethics carries, going back to the philosophy of the sales process we're teaching in this class, which is the idea that relationships matter. And so ethics is key in that component of developing relationships. Two areas that we're going to look at, like many different trades, there's an association for sales professionals called the National Association of Sales Professionals. We're going to look at their code of ethics that they have instilled, and we're going to look at something from the author Stephen Covey and his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and how that ties into the ethics experience. When we look at the code of ethics, this code can also be found on page 97 of your text. The NASP came up with 10 core areas or 10 areas of beliefs that they identified that related to a salesperson's ethics. The first area, called ethics and professionalism. In greater detail, they talk about that the salesperson will act with the highest degree of professionalism, ethics, and integrity. Now, sometimes one of the challenging pieces when we talk about ethics is the idea that it may not be black and white, right? 2 + 2 is 4. But what is ethical versus what isn't ethical? And so we'll talk about some of those issues today also. Number 2, representation of facts. The idea that salespeople will represent the benefits, fairly represent the benefits of their products and services. 3, confidentiality. The idea that the salesperson will keep their information about their customers confidential. That we won't sell that information without letting them know that ahead of time. 4, conflicts of interest. That the salesperson will disclose any potential conflicts of interest to all relevant parties and, whenever possible, resolve conflicts before they become a problem. And so if you're dealing with maybe multiple clients that are working in the same industry and using information against each other, we want to make sure that any of those conflicts are resolved ahead of time. Responsibility to the clients. The salesperson will act in the best interest of the clients, striving to present products and services that satisfy the customer's needs. Again, that idea that we are putting the customer first, developing a partnership with that customer. Responsibility to the employer. The salesperson will represent my employer in a professional manner and respect the employer's information, proprietary information. So you won't use that information to sell to your competitors. Sometimes we actually even sign non-compete clauses to alleviate those type of situations. Responsibility NASP members. Salespersons will share their lessons of experience with fellow members and promote the interests of NASP. Responsibility to the community. Salespeople will serve as a model of good citizenship and be vigilant to the effects of my products and services on my community. Continuing education will maintain an ongoing program of professional development. This is very important, even in specifics to ethics, because what is ethically accepted in the past may not be considered ethically accepted now. So we need to look at that and see how industries and trends change. One area that I really think about that is the legislation that has been put into the medical sales fields. One of the reasons why we see all these ads now on TV that we never saw before for different medications, pills, etc. Is before, in the medical field, the salespeople really went to the doctors or the physicians and the hospitals, and that's who they sold to. Well, now the only thing that those people can really legitimately do is just give them a flyer on their medications. They no longer can pass out pens, they no longer can pass out notepads. All that stuff is pretty much, they're cut out. I actually know someone who's in the industry, and they said, hey, if you need any pens, let me know. I have cases and cases of pens I can't use anymore. So the continuing education is always part of that process. As a salesperson, you're always constantly going through education, be it formal or vendor type of things, vendor type training. And then as we kind of led that into laws, observe and obey all laws that affect my products, services, and profession. So that's the code of conduct that the NASP has put together. Now, that does not necessarily mean it's a be-all, one-all. I mean, all those things are really general in nature. And again, the thing with ethics that's a little bit difficult for people to digest is it's not necessarily clear-cut. And especially when we start talking about our morals affecting the ethics, different people's morals may change their, I guess for lack of a better term, their level of ethics. In the book they talk about the importance that 7 habits of highly effective people had in the area of ethics. And one of the examples that they talked about in the book was that always do what you say you're going to do. As we make commitments, even small commitments, we begin to establish an inner integrity that gives us awareness of self-control and the ability to take on more responsibility. From a sales perspective, following through on what we say we're going to do is key. The 7 habits of highly effective people, you're talking about being proactive, is habit number 1. Begin with the end in mind. The idea that what is my final goal? Start there and figure out what you need to do to make that happen. Putting first things first.